All right, 5 patterns of your major and minor chord shapes. So we've learned pattern 4 and 2, major and minor, and we've learned our octave shapes in pattern 1 through 5. So now we need to fill in the gaps. So why can't you just use pattern 4 and 2 for everything? Why do you need to learn the other ones? Well, one, because you need to be thorough. You really need to be thorough. You know, you can't have gaps in your understanding and in your playing. But there's also really practical uses for it too. Obviously is voicings. You know, this C major sounds a little different than this one. Sounds a little different than this one. Certainly sounds different than this one. They're all C major. They all contain the same notes. But a different voicing means, you know, the notes are arranged in a different way. So one will be more bassy, one will be more trebly. You know, one will have, just a different sound to it altogether. The last thing is efficiency. You know, we've been talking so much about using our closest moves, you know, and that's because we want to be efficient when we move around our neck. We don't want to be moving a lot and constantly moving up and down because you really will get tired, especially if you're playing a lot of, you know, a long live set or something like that. You know, a good player will switch up his voicings throughout the course of the set because your hand gets tired, your arm gets tired. It's good to know all the different spots you can play, all the things you need to play, and all the different variations you have. One, to get sounds, and two, just to be efficient and really have a good command of your neck. Let's start with C. We're going to do majors first. So we have our C octave shape, right? If you play your C major chord, you can see that this looks exactly like our pattern 1 pattern, which I've supplied, but the notes on our 3rd and 1st string are being played by our open strings. As we increase everything up to say play our D octave shape, in our D pattern 1, we're going to have to switch our fingering and lead with our pinky, and our 1st finger is going to have to bar the 3rd and the 1st string. So that's pattern 1. This is a very common shape. All right, so then we had 2. Now we're going to add 3. So 3, remember this is the big one. Now in G, you're going to be able to play this whole shape. But if you notice in the shape I've supplied, we're kind of omitting the first one because it's very hard to play a full pattern 3 major shape playing all 3 roots. So what you're going to do is you're going to lead with your pinky. You're going to bar your 1st finger to get that triad, and you're pretty much going to omit the 1st string. Another way to play it, if you wanted to, is you could play it like this and play your root on the high string and just not have one in the bass. But I want you to practice it like this. Then we have pattern 4, which we learned. And the last one is pattern 3. And this is like your D major shape. Now this one, you pretty much only use in rhythm playing when you play a D because you have that open 4th string. It's bassy enough. If you play it all the way up here in C, I mean, you just very normally, you know, your pattern 5, you're going to play when you're soloing. You're not going to really play it too much when you're doing rhythm stuff. You might play this top little piece, but you're not usually going to go through this whole thing when you can just go like that. So what I want you to do, what I just did in the key of C, I want you to do your octave shape, major chord shape, forwards and backwards. So, pattern 1 octave, pattern 1 chord, pattern 2 octave, pattern 2 chord, pattern 3 octave, pattern 3 chord, pattern 4 octave, pattern 4 chord, pattern 5 octave, pattern 5 chord, and up here. We're going to go back down. What about our minor chord shapes? Let's do A minor. If we start at A minor, remember, pattern 2 is our lowest playable octave shape. We already know that. So we're going to go right into pattern 3. Now, for pattern 3, this one's a little squirrely. It's a little ugly. You're going to lead with your pinky. Remember, the difference between major and minor is always 1 fret. So in major, it was here. Minor is going to be our 2nd finger. Then we're going to bar with our first finger to get the 4th and 3rd strings. and you're not going to play the second or first. So you get this real muddy, evil sounding minor chord. Cool. Pattern 4 we know, minor. Pattern 5, octave shape. And again, this is our D minor shape in A. And again, you're not normally going to play this when you're playing a lot of rhythm guitar. And then back to pattern 1. Oh, we didn't do pattern 1 yet. So pattern 1, here's your octave shape. Now this one is a little tricky. I recommend getting this upper cluster first with your second, first, and third finger, and then reaching with your pinky to get that pattern 1. This is probably the most obscure. And then back to pattern 2. So again, connect backwards, right? So, what I want you to do is I want you to do a 1-4-5 in the key of C using your closest moves with all 5 patterns. So what's that mean? So in the key of C, 1-4-5 is the C major, F major, and G major like we've talked about. So obviously, since we're in open position here, our lowest shapes are going to be pattern 1 for C, pattern 4 for G, pattern 3 for G. So pattern 4 for F, pattern 3 for G, right? So then what we're going to do as we go up, we're going to increase each of our pattern numbers by 1, and you're going to get your next position of closest moves. So pattern 1, C, pattern 4, F, pattern 3, G. Everything's going to go up, so pattern 1, C becomes pattern 2, C. Pattern 4, F becomes pattern 5, F. Pattern 3, G becomes pattern 4, G. So now this is your second spot with all your closest moves. So for C, F, G. So now for C, pattern 2 becomes pattern 3. For F, you had 5, it becomes 1. And for G, you had 4, it becomes 5, right? So you have C, F, you have G, like that. Next spot, C will be pattern 4, F will be pattern 2, and G will be pattern 1. And lastly, you're going to have C, pattern 5, F, pattern 3, and you're going to have G pattern 2. Okay, so now let's talk about a minor 1-4-5 progression. The same way you can have major 1-4-5 progressions, you can have minor ones, and they sound really, really cool. So let's say, for example, let's do A minor, D minor, and E minor. So 1, 4, 5. Now, we talked about music theory when we said, the 1 is your home, right? A minor key, basically what you do is you are selling the minor chord as your 1, as your home. Like, you're sad and you're at home, and you just say, deal with it. You're selling it, This is my resolution of my musical tension, this minor chord, right? So when I play a minor 1-4-5, it's a cool sound, right? I bring this up because I want you to mess around with this, just something else to work on. I want you to play, minor 1-4-5s as well as major 1-4-5s using your closest move technique, right? 5 different spots up the neck. I want you to do it in 2 different keys. And I want you to post this video and take it really, really, really slow. So it'll look something like this. You have your octave shape, you have your chord for C, right? For F, you have your octave shape, you have your chord. For G, you have your octave shape, and you have your chord. That's your first spot of your 1-4-5 in C. And then you're going to take that up, each one, just like I showed you, but do it nice and slow. Separate the octave shape and the chord. Same thing with minor. Say for A minor, pattern 2, octave shape, chord. For D, your 4. Pattern 5, octave shape, chord. For E, pattern 4, octave shape, chord. And then you increase every single one by 1 until you take it all the way up. Good luck.